Hey guys, hope everything is going well. This is an impromptu live stream with my buddy here, LT, who's in the military. LT, what's going on, man?
How you doing, Raul? Thanks for having me on here, man. You're a great dude. I've followed you for a while, and it's definitely an honor to be on your channel. You produce great content, and thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have one of my listeners on. So, just explain a little bit about yourself in collecting and getting involved in sports cards.
Yeah, no, thank you. I oh gee, where do I start? Yeah, so I'm currently active military, Army, National Guard, and I have approximately about 2.5 more years left to retire. So I'll be getting out and retiring finally, and I'm wrapping up my MBA from Syracuse University in 2 weeks. So I'm pretty stoked to be graduating, finally putting that business degree to work. And I huge sports fan and competed in mixed martial arts a couple years ago. I'm actually going to be getting back into that, and I actually have two YouTube channels, but they've been dinosaurs because I have not been on there. I started with CSTLA, which is my sports channel. Got up to about 1,500 subscribers, and then just kind of lost track with that. And then I started living with LT, where I wanted to emphasize more on my hobbies and my personal life and that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I'm trying to build that one up, and just busy with work and life and family, as you know, it gets pretty it's tiring. You have to really keep consistent. So I really respect the hustle that you do put in there. And if you guys don't know, Ro has been, I remember when you were just a couple hundred subscribers, and you have grown. I think I've been with you for the last year and a half when I was started following you, and just watching how your channel has grown. And the work, the hard work definitely pays off, the effort that you've put into it. And so, yeah, but the cards, the big thing that we has drawn us and building a relationship. Ro and I talk on a day to day basis, primarily Instagram, and we're always talking about stuff in the hobby and the cards and whatnot. For me, for cards, I it's interesting dynamic. I'm not sure if you can relate in that aspect, but growing up in a traditional Asian family where it's super strict and whatnot, it's not that we didn't have money. We were definitely middle class, but having these kind of hobbies and things, it was looked at as a waste of time, right? And money. So, things like I got, of course I loved Pokemon, and back in the 90s, I'm LA, obviously, as you can see here. I love all my LA teams, and I had very few cards and stuff. But I didn't really get to appreciate the cards and hobby until I started making my own money, right? And so I kind of bought cards here and there back in, like, this is before the pandemic, when I just kind of bought players that I liked and teams and whatnot. But I'm part of. I would consider myself part of that pandemic boom when we were at home and cards blew up and whatnot, and it was a good interest. And so I. And I know these are going to be subjects later on. I'm not going to consider myself an influencer, an ambassador, nothing. I'm just a dude that likes cards. I don't even have the time to sit there and put the effort like yourself and other people who could really dedicate time to cards. But I do love the camaraderie aspect that it brings together in the hobby. And so it's very and it's very interesting now that I'm graduating my business degree, and I know with you, you have a business background. I'm starting to migrate that direction. It's very intriguing to me, very interesting. We've talked about stocks, crypto, and other stuff. I'm not accusing you of pumping into that stuff, but talking about that money stuff, obviously can tie into cards, because I mean, let's not BS here. That you are in this hobby to make profit to an aspect, but you can also collect as well. And I'm sure those are topics later on. So I've really kind of now just focusing on PC and cards. And we've had discussions almost every day where I'll sit there and kind of pick your brain. And you've done it. Raul is very. That's why I respect about you. You are very straightforward. You have shared. I buy you. You buy the CSG slabs because they are cheaper, and you PC the stuff there. But I'm the same aspect. I buy PSA eights. I'll buy Beckett eights, and I buy a lot of raw cards because I like to PC stuff. And I'm sure we'll get into the grading and whatnot. But I do like the aspects of where the card market is at right now. And of course, I do invest in long-term stuff. I make fun of Tom Brady and LeBron all the time, but those are the two guys that I invest in because long-term, I know they're going to make money down the line. But yeah, I wanted to put the floor back to you. Thank you for letting me introduce myself, Raul.
Yep. So yeah, I don't know if there was something ruffling sound on your end. Did you hear it or no?
No,
No.
everything's
Okay. Everything's fine. Okay, maybe it's on my end. Okay, but yeah, let's take a look at some comments and then I'll respond to what you said. Steve Splenda, I think you follow him, Splenda Sports.
great dude. Love his channel.
Yep. And he says, shout out for always sharing the best reels with you. Yeah, I mean, your Instagram channel and Sports Card Radio and Hobby Shark. Those are the three that I love. Yeah. And obviously, yeah, Steve's is great. And then Steve says, shout out for hating on LeBron, but also looking at his cards as an appraisal. Just make a trade for LeBron. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I think his cards are actually at a much cheaper level.
Oh yeah, absolutely
good level right now.
And if you don't mind me saying, with the records being broken, obviously you have your fanboys, as they call it, for the bronze. But now that he's broken Magic Johnson's record for, I think he's now 5th or 6th time on assists. I believe the next one he's after is the all-time scoring record, right? Because I think it was Kareem. And of course, there's other records, and that's just going to help his value along the way.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, I wanted to go back to what you said earlier. I remember looking through some of your comments. You posted when I had maybe 160 subscribers. Yep. So yeah, you've been here following me for a while. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, of course. Ro, like I said, is I like and I respect about you and certain other people. I'm very particular who I follow and who I'm friends with. People that call it as it is, no bullshit, and there's still an aspect to it. You enjoy the cards, you're very upfront about stuff. Yeah, you invest here and then whatnot on stuff, but it's good open communication, right? And it's, and I'll just say it I'll say it from here because I don't know what this direction is going to put me in my channel, and I'll associate my friend Raul, the negativity and the positivity and all that stuff. You have to have that balance, yin yang aspect. We've talked about this all the time in the card hobby, and like it or not, there's drama and whatnot. That's the reality of life. That's just like anywhere you're in, dealing with the relationships, work, the card hobby. There's pros and cons. There's up and down. It's not rainbows and butterflies every single day. And that's what I respect about you and other channels that are willing to share that kind of stuff.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because usually people hate on me, so it's good to hear.
Yeah. It's like, we don't, let's just call it is. We don't make, this is the fun for us. This is the side stuff here. And I think if you're turning a hobby to where you're stressing about your influencers, who's following you, the money aspect of stuff, it's call a spade a spade. I mean, you're stressing about it because your wallet depends on that. And guys like us, where we have real jobs and, we have professional lives and that kind of stuff, we don't stress about that stuff. And that's not to knock people that if they do it for a living, flipping or whatever, okay, cool, but just don't bake it to people. You know what I mean? And I wanted to share, my kid is going to turn 5 soon. And I really think the aspect of kids play a big factor in this hobby. And I mean, we could go on forever talking about stuff on here because I really like the stuff that you talked about, Fanatics. I saw what you said about the SGC. But we've had this discussion. Well, I don't know if you have kids yourself, but my son, I've got him into cards, not collecting, but he'll rip the stuff and whatnot. And I think that it plays an important factor for kids to be part of the future, but also not cheat them and make it such a greed aspect with money. And that's the kind of things that I've kind of seen where it's turned. So yeah, I brought that up.
Yeah. Speaking of kids, I don't like the way that the hobby is targeting kids. And, I'm all about marketing, but it's more of a gambling aspect for very young kids. Okay, if they're teenagers, fine,
Yep.
but I don't know. Just explain some of that. You don't need to use names, but
Yeah.
you've messaged me about that.
Yeah, I message on there, and I've been on other channels to where I put my stuff. It's it's interesting. I think Ziggy is a channel that we both can agree on, and it's funny is that I like your guys' conversations because Ziggy is another person that does not hold back, and he holds to his guns just like you. He can get a bit emotional, but I love the dude, and you're a very civil person, and it's okay. You get emotional about things, but he has voices concerns and stuff like that when it comes to the overprinting, the stuff like that, and with kids. So to answer your question, I do think that greed aspect, when you're teaching it to children, there's no fun into that because when I was a kid, I went berserk. If I was able to get packs of cards, if I was able to trade with my friends and stuff, it was such a reward. And going in for our culture aspect, as an Asian American, we don't get those kind of opportunities. So they were very exciting to where I could sit there. I remember I had my book of trading cards in my folder with the little divider things that I would bring it to school and trade with people. And it was so fun, but there was no money aspect to it. It was just a straight up trade for trade. And it's just like gambling, which is a very sensitive topic, but let's call the reality when it comes to fantasy football and all the other sports and stuff. There is aspects that have been turned into the carts because once again, if you say that it's about the kids and we want to grow the hobby and all that stuff, then you really shouldn't worry too much about the money, right? You should be trying to grow that next generation. And I think it's quite funny, and I'm doing my best not to call out certain people and whatnot, but I laugh, I chuckle when I see people at big card shows. Oh, this is for the kids. Hey, let's have packs and all that stuff. I'm sure you've seen it where it's like, oh yeah, we're for the kids. Let's go and we're gonna open a pack, or hey, we're gonna give this stuff and stuff. It's like, why do you have to emphasize so much on that when you could do that thing off camera? I mean, no good deed goes unpunished. I can't tell you how many stuff people do off the line. If you're a good person and you have that good juju and good karma, it's going to come back to you, right? I could sit here and go all day. I've been 20 years in the military, right? And I'm not going to sit there and flaunt of what I've done, but I know that I have contributed to this country and what I've done wearing the uniform. But I don't need to go sit there. It's a selfless service. I don't need to go sit there and, hey, guys, look at me type thing, And that's cool. If that's people's MO, got it. But I think that's the thing that irks me the most is when you sit there and you watch these influencers, the kids and all that stuff, and that's just a way to build up your brand and stuff. That's all it is. And then you get all the big boys, Tops Fanatics and all that stuff, sending stuff and merch and everything because it's a marketing tool. Okay, you're a business person. I'm a business person. We're not dumb here, Raj. It's the best way to do it is you start with kids because then once you start with the kids, you can get the parents in there as well. And it's that fakeness, that good that good character type thing. I see right past that stuff, and so I know my personality is not the most. I'm not even that big, compared to you and other channels right there, right? But I intend to stay that way because I'd rather keep it real with myself. So
Yeah, exactly. That's why I have guys like you on because you just speak your mind. So I appreciate that. Whether we have 5 followers watching or like 100, I'd rather have the truth on or what you deem to be the truth. But yeah, there's also things that tick me off about what the industry is doing. It may not be, controversial for some people, but card porn, I've done video after video, maybe too many videos, but what I have an issue with is you probably have seen this. So they have a channel, Kids with Care, Card Care, or something like that.
is it Card Kids? That's not the one Jeff Wilson, right? Card
No,
Kids?
no, I think that's separate, but I think it's like Kids with Care. I don't know what it's called, but
Okay.
it's managed by Card Porn, and then they're posting pictures of kids on it. Sure, there may be nothing wrong with it, but then it goes with, okay, their name has porn in it, and they're showing pictures of kids, and then maybe there's nothing inappropriate about it, but then it's that addictive personality that they want to get into kids. And I'm thinking it doesn't look good from an optics point of view. I don't know
I
if you think the same way.
No, I agree with you, and I'm not even. I mean, I have conservative views to an aspect. It's not even bringing politics, but it's parents, especially if my wife and I agree on things that we're going to expose my son to. And if I was any parent, and even I had some conservative views, and I saw something with porn, like, why would I associate my kid with that kind of stuff? I completely agree with you. So I do think that the marketing aspect and the way that you're going to put the naming could be written a better way. So I completely agree with you.
All right, let's take a look at some comments here. Steve says, pro kids in the hobby because it's a wonderful economic tool for them to grasp. Indeed. I mean, Mark Cuban even talked about that, of how he learned how to negotiate with people. And
Yeah.
then he says, anti-card porn marketing kids. Yes, exactly.
Yep.
I don't like that either. Collector's dream, what's going on? The hobby needs kids to collect, not about the money. Yeah,
Absolutely. Great point, collector's dream. Yep.
Yeah. Maybe when they're teenagers, if you want to do that stuff, that's fine, but not when they're, 5, 6, 7 years old.
Yeah. It's an innocent aspects to it. Kids are so pure, and you really, and as a parent myself, it's going to be a soapbox aspects because it is close to my heart. But my son, I want him to enjoy the things that I got to enjoy, that we got to enjoy, and not grow up so fast. Let them be kids and worry
Right.
about that stuff later. Like I completely agree. Right there.
Indeed. Let's look at another comment here. Dope Card says card porn equals weirdos.
Agreed.
Yeah, that channel's weird. Brandon, Ryan, optics are in the hobby, or optics are out of the window in the hobby these days. A strange new era. Yeah.
I think that's just in the world in general, man. We have similar views when it comes to politics, but we won't voice it on here. That's why I get along with you very well. But we've had this discussion on how we see the world stuff, and I think it just affects anything. But follow the money. When the greed comes along, it changes a lot of things. Money controls the world. It's reality.
And that's the unfortunate way of how things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to share something positive with you. I'm sure you have kind of a format and whatnot, but I kind of wanted to show the emphasis of the focus of the stuff. And I know that these put smiles to your face, Raj. I know you're a diehard Bulls and Jordan. You know my voice. I grabbed my case just in case, but I wanted to share that.
Yeah.
No joke, guys. These are cards I'm not trying to flip. These are goats. I've told my buddy here that Jordan is my number one PC. I wanted to share something with you and your subscribers that my ultimate chase right now is that I would like to get an MJ auto. That is my goal. I was very close to pulling the trigger on a North Carolina one, but I think because I fell in love with him as a Bulls, I'm going to go look for one of those autos aspects. So I kind of want to share that with you. The positive aspect of cards is something, and you're obviously a Chicago diehard. So
yeah, for sure.
You know how much I love Jordan.
Yeah, for sure. Brandon Ryan says Jordan always makes me smile. Yep, indeed.
Good call, Brandon.
Indeed. So influencers, and we've talked about this a lot of time. I think we agree that a lot of influencers are fake, and we could see right through them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like, what are your just thoughts besides that regarding these influencers?
Yeah, so I don't want to go on my tangent on names, because if you really want to follow me, you can follow Raul, I'm sure, on Instagram, and you can find mine, but it's Living with LT. And I don't post much on YouTube, but Instagram, you can get to know me very well on there. And Raul knows exactly how I speak my mind on there and who I like and who I dislike. But to answer your question, for the influencers aspect, is I think the biggest thing for me is, like, when you tell a kid, don't lie to me. Like, it's like, come on, don't bullshit me. And it's like sitting there, and you've done a great job with other channels when you guys are spying, calling out like, hey, you're pumping this. You said this months ago. Here is the research. Here is the evidence. Facts are facts. And they sit there and they put, I like to use the analogy, the Bird Box. Sandra Bullock, I'm sure you've seen that movie, the Bird Box, where she's sitting there looking around and whatnot. And it pisses me off because you have so much dumb people, excuse my language, that follow these influencers. I don't want to use the term sheep, but when you have people that follow you and look for advice and everything, they're going to go off what you say. And if you're sitting there, and especially if you're manipulative, but you know what you're doing, that's morally wrong. And that's my biggest problem is sitting there and telling people what to buy, and you're making them buy the things that, okay, yeah, maybe you're collecting and you're trying to make the profit off that, but to sit there and pump it and have no remorse, and then they lose their money and they're just sitting there holding the bag. I don't know how you can sleep like that, and I don't know, like that just that drives me nuts, right? And I think it may manifest from the job that I do. I didn't really get to share that, but I worked Homeland Security for half my career in the military, and so I've worked with a lot of first responders, big names, and I can't get too much of the details, but it's that good guy aspect. That I'm obsessed with the Mandalorian, and I love the movie V for Vendetta, and I love Batman, right? So going to the nerd side of it, why do I like those characters? Because they're anti-heroes in that sense, right? They break the rules when they have to, but they do what is good is right. And I feel, I'm not saying that I am in that, but I'm drawn to people like yourself and other people who are willing to take that step on there. At my channel, I think I have like 500 IG followers, and that's my YouTube as well. I have a small, very following, but just like you said, I really appreciate. I'd rather have quality over quantity, right? Because in the long term, if this card hobby goes to shit, not saying it will, where's it ever going to be at when it all falls? What's going to be the next thing that people are going to start jumping to? And I want to pick your brain because we've had this discussion. Stocks and crypto are one thing, and I told you, you can quote me, from the day that we became friends, we talked. Did I tell you NFTs are the dumbest thing I've heard? I've been telling you that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just asking you, where is the NFT game? And I'm sure you remember with the NBA Top Shots when it came to 2020 with the cards, and people made good money off NBA Top Shots. But I had people asking me, you're into cards, you're into stocks, you're a business major. What do you think about Top Shots? I said, I hope I said that name correctly, by the way. I said, I think it's bullshit. I said, that's going to be a pump and dump. That lasted, I want to say, maybe a couple of months. But where is that today? And I wanted to get your thoughts on that, by the way.
Yeah. So I don't know if you remember, I did that video, Avoid NBA Top Shot Like the Plague. Did you watch that video?
I've watched so many of your videos, so I'd have to go look back because I am a low subscriber, but please enlighten me again. I may have forgotten.
Yeah. This was 2 weeks before the top of the market in NBA Top Shot.
Okay.
And I said that this is ridiculous. How are these guys, taking $10 and turning into like $5,000? That's unsustainable. And then I saw people on ESPN open packs, influencers open packs. I'm like, okay, this does not make sense.
Yeah.
So I said, avoid it. It's going to come crashing down. The concept's dumb. And who talks about NBA Top Shot now? I mean, there's maybe a few influencers here and there, but it's dead. And I'd rather play around in freaking Bitcoin because no one wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I'm not a crypto guy. I know you've asked me about it. And then now I feel, hey, I want to get into stocks that are associated with crypto because it's dead. Yeah. Not like dead, like
right.
NBA Top Shot. There's more people interested in crypto.
It's a buying opportunity. And I don't mean to interrupt you, but just like with anything right now with the cards, if you study basic economics and money, we are in a recession. We've been in a recession. It could be worse. We could be projected worse than 2008. Everything is inflated. So people got to pay the bills. People got to put food on their table. People got to pay for gas. And so the reality of it is kind of, as we're festering and everything, is the influence out there, whatever you think of me and what my buddy is saying here, that's the reality. You're not, you can take advantage of a few people, but guess what? People can't buy cards in this kind of economy, right? Now, if you're smart, where you're looking at the long term, investable, or for strictly PC, yeah, of course. But that's that's where I think it's just funny that people, the influencers or whoever, the flippers and whatnot, um, are panicking in this market, because, well, I guess you have to go and use your talents for something else or actually work for a living. I actually just thought of something, I'm sure you've seen some of my stuff on YouTube and my IG. I kind of, it's been harder with my work picking up, but I do go on retail hunts, and that's kind of a big thing that I
Yeah.
enjoy. I love doing.
Right.
Might be a military thing as well. But when I go and I look for cards, I can't tell you how many times you've seen pictures of my IG. I think I've sent you some private videos and photos of now you're seeing retail at Target and Walmart. I was in my Walmart last week, and behind the counter, you used to have to go there. You can buy as much as you want, but I've never seen so much NFL and NBA available. Like, I have never seen Optic, Prism, all the big retail names just sitting there right there. If that's if you can't figure that out, that there's an overprinting or there's not, and or there's a lack in the hobby, that is the reality right there.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's why if anyone's gonna speculate in anything like that, then I think it's maybe some vintage cards that have taken a hit. The Mantles, the
Mm-hmm.
Roots, some Jordans, even though that's not vintage, but like all the GOATs and all the great players. And yeah, I'm trying to avoid all these cards from 2018
Mm-hmm.
onwards. Maybe some for my PC, but that's about it.
Right.
All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here. Trading Cards Immortal. Influencers can be very cringy at times. I have to exit this out. Sorry about this.
You're good.
Yeah, can't really take their stuff serious since they can be biased or not always telling the truth with stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Great point.
And I'm just wondering how many of these guys have just deals with companies where they maybe have signed NDAs and then they're saying, "Oh, this is great," and then they're getting boxes, and then
Yep.
it's obviously that some companies sending them. And we have this one influencer that we always watch and always talk about. We're not going to mention the name, but yeah, this guy clearly gets something to the side.
Oh yeah,
Getting some sort of
this
kickbacks here
comment
and there.
right here is something that I talked to you about our friend Ziggy. We had a conversation.
Yeah.
Right there on the point.
And there. So, what do you think that someone that's new, just watching, like, what would you tell them on when they're seeing different types of content? What would you tell them? Would you tell them to watch everybody, watch out for the influencers, only watch people who are considered the hobby watchdogs? What would you tell these guys?
That's a great question. That's a really good one. And I was watching. I shared it with you, I think yesterday. Is his name J Mac? It's J Mac, right?
Yeah, J-Mac, yeah.
The channel. We both like him. We both
Mhm.
subscribe to him, and he shared very non-biased on which channels he likes. And I think he did a second set, so I really like his stuff. He actually messaged me back, but I kind of take what he said, and I thought it's just resonating with me right now. But any person new on there, I think it's all dependent on where you're at. I mean, once again, there's keep the transparency. If you're in here to flip, or if you're in here to collect, if you're in here to do both, you're gonna migrate towards what is going to manifest with you, right? What is going to get your attention? Because I think, especially because I think we're close in age. I'm in my mid 30s, but I think cultural gaps, not culture, I'm sorry, generational gaps play a big difference, right? Today's generation, just take the TikToks for example, the Snapchats. I don't think Snapchat's still a thing.
Yeah.
Attention span is very short. I mean, if you can't get someone's attention in 20, 30 seconds, they're on to the next person. So there are certain channels out there that do a great job of getting people's attention, and it's just a matter once you get them in, and if they like it, that certain, if they're a newbie and whatnot, they would stick with it and go watch. I use your channel for example, and certain other ones. I told you I love baseball card collector investor dealer. I've told you that's probably my number one channel. I know you're my good friend, but you're in my top five. I like Sports Dad, right? I like Ziggy, and there's a couple of other ones that I enjoy because and of course Sports Card Radio. I like Hobby Shark. Well, that's Hobby Shark's more of IG, but I like the channels that break in the analysis of cars, the money aspects. And there's also, there's positivity aspects, there's negativity aspects, but it's all there's so many elements to it because the history of the card is so fascinating, right? And how it's started from this direction and there. It's not just sport cards. I'm a big Mandalorian fan. I love Star Wars, but I'm a diehard Mandalorian fan, right? So that's what I PC and collect. And I collect mixed martial arts cards and random stuff. I love that there's so many different aspects. You can movie stars and Johnny Depp cards and whatnot. But there's certain channels that the deals, right? That's my favorite, right? I just find it funny because in this market with the card prices at where they're at, I'm not saying that the card market is doomed and it's your time to panic and whatnot, but there are certain channels that do a great job of sitting there, and it gets repetitive. It bores me, but some people might like you where they go to the card shows and hey, they do the deals, and I'm sure we talked about this. Oh yeah, okay, let me flip this up. Here's $1,000 deal, or I'm gonna trade up and move up in there, and it it gets repetitive. It just bores me after a while. I'm just in there like, okay, all right, well, it's the same big card or whatever. Someone newbie may like that, but after a while, it's just like it's the same stale stuff. And then once again, you look at the authenticity of it. How real was that deal, or was it just to get the views? You know what I mean? And you have some good channels in there that are kind of the mid level that just people enjoy the cards. And there's just some random ones that I watch that have small ones out there. So I wanted to kind of ask you, kind of throw the question back at you. What do you think with the card breakers and the way the industry, because card breakers are considered influencers, right? Where do you see that market going? I don't think we discussed that. I'm kind of curious on what you think of that.
Well, now we know Fanatics is going to acquire them. Or, I mean, Fanatics is going to take over the industry. So I think Fanatics will have exclusive breakers. And then there's going to probably be some breakers that are going to buy product on the secondary market. So I think the industry is probably going to consolidate, in my opinion, where, yeah, you're going to have a few breakers, but a handful of breakers that we see right now, I don't think are going to be in business.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what do you think?
Oh yeah. I mean, what did we discuss about it? Basic economics, right? And I don't want people. There's no arrogance. I don't know everything. I'm just going off business stuff, and that's the way that you and me think. You can only, unless you have millions of money from very generous grandma and grandpas or mommies and daddies, right? How much is the hobby, the big players, going to continue giving money? Because after a while, with and then it goes into overprinting, right? Because I think there was a great discussion that how many inserts have come from Fanatics. And I don't know if Topps is included in this, but how many 101s can you print? How many serial numbers, right? How many more refractors can you make, right? So that's the big chase, right? Oh my God, you see, it's just that drives me nuts when I've seen it at card shows, dude. It's just like people are sitting there, oh my God, and it's just like, bro, it's really not that serious. So you see these card breakers going just absolutely crazy, and I get it. It just kind of annoys me after a while. But to answer the question, I don't think it's sustainable with the money being there because I like there's a channel that I watched. I cannot remember. I think it was just on IG exclusively, but this guy literally does it where they break down. So I think he does a lot of retail, but he'll sit there and say, let's say for example, it's a $35 box of optic, right? And he'll literally rip it apart and then he'll break it down. Okay, how much is this currently worth? How much this is worth, right? I don't know if I don't know if you've seen that, but it
No.
literally has shown how much he lost in just buying that. And I can attest to that. How much, if I were to sell the cards that I broke, right, that I ripped, right, how much money do I actually lose, and how much could I sell and make a profit for? And typically, you're definitely going obviously in the negative. And so, with the hobby, those big hobby boxes, those big breakers that they get the big product, those are thousands of dollars out there. And remember, I had this discussion with you, and this is not to knock him. I actually like his channel because I can't help. I do like watching cards rip. I like Pac Man's channel, right? But I remember I asked you this question: how much money does that guy get? Or like, how much does he get a discount? And I'm sure the big guy is sending it out to him. Like, he has every new fresh product out there, and I think he's probably the biggest channel when it comes to ripping cards. And what's your thoughts on that? Because how's that going to affect him in the future? Because he's one of the biggest breakers out there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make any accusations here,
Of
but
course.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's getting loaded products.
Hmm.
Hopefully that's not the case, but or maybe it's just luck. But I don't know how he gets all these hits from what people are saying over and over again. But if he's a big channel, I am pretty sure Fanatics is going to try to partner with all these guys, the Backyard Bros,
Yeah.
Pac-Man, the CC2s. I mean, CC2 is already doing business with Whatnot. So, Jeff Wilson's of the world, even though he's not a breaker, but
Yeah.
they're going to find some way, shape, or form to do business with the big guys who could get the most eyeballs.
Oh
That's what
yeah.
they can do.
I mean, that's exactly. And it's really interesting you say that, because I can't remember whether it was on IG or YouTube, but I saw someone state that, because they were accusing them, like, all right, which loaded boxes are who getting, right? And that's actually a great point, because I think with some of those Panini boxes, the big brown boxes, you can
Yeah.
they know which one the serial numbers. Remember, I'm sure you've seen that, but they know, but they
Yeah.
look like which serial numbers. They can go into there and they'll know exactly which one the big boxes are. And of
Yeah.
course, you have your repacking and whatnot. So something interesting I wanted to tell you. One of my friends works in Targets, and one of their policies, they have a very generous return policy, almost like Costco. But it has been cases, especially with the hanger boxes, they're very easy to reseal. They'll go in there and grab the big hits, reseal the cards, throw them right back in, and return them. And where's the
Wow.
where is the quality control? That is a problem with carts. I'm not sure about Walmart, but I can tell you from inside source, my friend from Target, there's already one example. Now, granted, that's retail carts, which is not going to be even exponentially the amount compared to what people get from local card shops and the big players and that. But I just thought that was interesting on the reselling, because then you do have that problem. And then of course the repacks, right? I haven't heard very much on repacks. I'm sure you've talked about in the past, but when I was just a novice, I didn't know what repacks are. I stay clear away from it now. But that's kind of the other aspects that you have to look at that really affect the hobby when you look at that financial aspect of it.
Indeed, indeed. I know you said that you had to go right about now. Is that it, or?
No, I can stay around for another 15 minutes. It's great
Oh,
having
okay.
a
Oh,
conversation.
okay. Okay.
You're good.
Good. Good.
No, I can
Okay.
stay for another
Okay.
15.
Because I didn't know your timing.
No,
Okay.
you're good. Yeah.
Okay.
I can stay for another 15 minutes if that works for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting that you mentioned about Target,
Mhm.
because I've never heard of that story. I mean, I know like a lot of hanky panky goes on, like I said, but I've never heard of people opening the box,
Yep.
putting crappy cards back in. So I'm
Yeah.
just wondering, like, what else goes on. I mean,
Yeah.
what all of us have discovered is what we can see with our own eyes. Now, what happens behind closed doors? That's what I'm just thinking out
Yeah.
loud.
Yeah. I actually have a good topic that I want to talk to you about, and we talked about this probably a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you'll ever get around to it, but I refuse. You know how frugal I am. We talk about this quite a bit. I'm very frugal with my money, but I use some of my per diem given from the government when I went and traveled. That's just per diem is a fancy word for food for the people out there. I bought on because you can only buy it on iTunes. I bought the card movie. I forgot what it was called, but Steve Aoki's like the main person, and it's
Yeah.
called. I told you I was like I was going back and forth on it, and I watched it, and I told you my opinion on it, and I thought it was I, I I thought it was a pretty crappy documentary, to say the least, and I explained it in terms of that, but I just thought I'd share that on there. Maybe we'll have in another future conversation.
Sure, for sure. So, yeah, what do you think about Fanatics and how they've been shaping the hobby for the past year or so?
I think I think it's really interesting because Fanatics, I've always been a fan of them when it comes to jerseys and all that stuff, because that's how I started. I bought, this is a Fanatics brand thing right here.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to me to see how, I don't want to say monopolize, but seeing it towards that direction, because they haven't officially acquired Tops yet, right? I know it was
No,
Top.
no, they acquired Tops, but Panini. That's the rumor.
Did they pay the money already?
Yeah,
Because
yeah, it's a done deal.
yeah. So Upper Deck is a separate one because Upper Deck is with hockey, but we have no idea where the future goes in there. And of course, Panini now, they're officially bought out by Fanatics, correct?
There's rumors.
Okay, so Panini, I believe, is till 2024, 25-ish.
Yeah, around there. Yeah.
So of course, Panini is doing what they're doing to where they're printing what they can, and I don't fault them for that. I mean, I would do the same thing. I think my issues with that, and just like one of your subscribers, Randy, said right here, is I think it's gonna really hurt the hobby. Kill the hobby? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I wish we all did, right? But hurt the hobby certainly. When it comes to the future aspect, just like you said, depending on where the breakers are. My biggest issue is, that I go and I support my LCSs. I have two LCSs that I go to. I'm out in Southern California in the LA Orange County area, and I like to go to the LCS for my card experience. And Fanatics single-handedly, if they do the monopoly, they will kill off those LCSs, because I've talked to my friends who are store owners. I'm like, how are you going to prepare for all this stuff and everything? And they told me straight up, I don't know, and that the uncertainty is always a stressful time, and that is not good for the hobby when you're selling it, because I think that what they're trying to do is it's going to go straight to consumer. I think that's the goal there.
Yeah.
And in fact, for Fanatics, because I go to the malls and I go buy clothes. The fan stores is one example. I think Sports Treasures is another one where Fanatics already has the cards and you can buy them right there. Like you're saying, you can buy cards in there, and it kind of goes. The discussion is: do we go back into the 90s to where we have a junk wax era, right, or 2.0, to where you start seeing cards in gas stations and all that sorts? But I think it's a very interesting dynamic of where Fanatics is going in that direction. But I don't think it's going to be any good to where cards can no longer be affordable. One thing, but then not accessible, right? And so just like back in 2020, to where you had that rush where people were camping like it was a Black Friday to get cards, and now you can't even get that out in stores. It's a lot of uncertainty in the future. What do you think?
Yeah. So Fanatics, they own Lids, right? That company.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
They own Lids. Yeah.
And I've been to Lids recently, and I saw they're selling cards there. So I'm just thinking, like, they could just put a bunch of cards at Lids, and then the LCSs, like, who's going to go to them now?
Yeah.
I think they have to adapt. They have to sell other things besides sports cards, be it Funko Pops, be it comic books. I think these guys are going to have a lot of difficulty, unless what they're doing is they're buying a bunch of raw cards and then just selling those graded. I guess they could do that and on eBay, or maybe not have an inland store and maybe have to sell it online. I mean, I don't know how they're going to compete, because they're like, Ruben is a very smart guy, and I think he's going to cut the middleman out. And then once you cut the middleman out, then, it's just going to be the survival of the fittest with all these stores. Maybe like a CC2, who does trade nights, who has the lot of people watching him. I think guys like him are going to survive those LCSs who are in. But how many of those small shops? I don't think they're going to survive, unfortunately, unless they adapt and go online, to be honest.
Yeah. And I've noticed a lot of those shops too have moved into the collectibles aspects. You know that we're huge Funko Pop fans, right? But I've started to see a lot more Funko Pop. I'm seeing comic books. I'm seeing Matchbox cars, right? And so that's, to me, that's signs that they're seeing things to come. With the collectibles market.
Yeah, I mean, they're grading Funko Pops now.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
So
I think it's the dumbest thing, by the way. Like I'm
It
sitting there
is.
and I'm like, are you grading? You're grading the box because let's face it, the Funko box come into those little cases already. But then it's like, do you grade the box? Or you grade the figure inside, or both? I didn't understand that.
Yeah. Let's read some comments here. Bob Boozle says Fanatic should hire a great pumper to inflate its sports card accomplishments.
Oh,
Well, I
sure.
think they already have. So,
Sure, they could find one or two, maybe a little
yeah,
more.
they could find multiple. Brendan Ryan says, I've heard from certain YouTubers who will remain nameless that PSA and Golden auctions are geniuses. Not in my opinion.
Great comment,
Well,
Brett.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think they are smart in the aspect where they have every company out there, and then on top of it, they own a bunch, not own, but like they have a lot of deals with influencers who are
Mm-hmm.
going to cover up for them. So
Yep.
I think it's a good business model.
Yep.
You know. So, what's your favorite slab out of all the companies out there?
Oh,
PSA, SGC.
yeah. So I don't have. If you saw on my channel, I shared with you on my Instagram, RCG Revolution
Yeah.
card grading. I really like their slabs. They do the. I wish I had it in front of me, but I like from a PC aspect. I like how they do the sides. I'll just use the Beckett label for now, but they do the sides where they make the color match,
Yeah.
and they make it basically look like the card, and I do like that. And what makes it unique about theirs for RCG is that once they make that side logo, if you were to crack it, because RCG is such a small player, and it's not to knock them,
Yeah.
it's basically true to that slab, right? That serial number, and you can't basically duplicate it, right? RCG, I do like HGA. I know we have this discussion. I do like on some cards. I like the slabs are thicker. They look nice. They feel good. I like the little background that HGA has. It's a little simplicity, but when they do the colors right, it looks nice to me. But the aesthetics of it are very pleasing to my eye. I like shiny. That's why I like refractors and those kind of stuff. So when it matches with the card, it looks nice to me. So obviously the two big ones I've told you, SGC in my opinion are the ugliest. I don't like them. They're ugly slap to me. I'm an LA Kings fan. When it has the black background, it looks nice to me, but I just think it's just a boring black background. Just my opinion. Please don't at me. Between the PSA and the BGS, of course, is holding the two right there. This is a grandfather label, right? I mean, essentially, this is what you're paying for. This is the Royce, right? The Royce Royce. I'm saying that correctly.
Rolls Royce.
Yeah, exactly, right? This is the big name that you're paying for in the value. And of course, this is the other one with the Beckett. And for me personally, I like out of all the slabs, when it comes to combination of resale and PC, is Beckett. I hope to own a black label one day. I think I've had this discussion with you. I mean, you could even have one of the worst players and they'll sell for like $300-$500 for a black label, but I hope to own one of them. But I just think Beckett labels are so clean. I like it has the gold label there, that has the silver for the nines, and of course you have the eights and whatnot. But they fit really nicely, and I just think the PSA slabs are just they're just not durable. And that's the interesting thing about a slab, right? Because then you look at how many duplicates are out there. You look about how easy it is. You can crack it, right? Because then it comes to the greed aspect, right? All right, well, it's an 8, 9. I want to crack it. I want to get the 10. So then, really, you've taken the true honesty, the value of the card to where is it collecting or is it trying to make money off of it, right? And that's where I told you by the way, I don't have a CSG slab. I need to actually get one of those. Copy your idea on the PC for CSG slabs. But yeah, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I have all types of slabs, but I really like the CSG slabs, the new black label slabs. For some reason, I don't know. It looks nice. And then on top of it, the prices are pretty adequate, unless like some high end cards, which sold the other day. But for the most part, a lot of people, they don't want to touch it. So I'm like, hey, why not?
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
what I'm looking at.
Well, exactly. And then it goes back to what's the old formula? A PSA 8 is basically a raw card, right? So, and that's why I go for PSA 8s. And I go because Kobe wore 8, but that's how I look at it. At least I have the card because it just looks nice in the slab when I display them. But yeah, that's really interesting there. And since we're on the slab conversation, all this other companies that you've seen with the slab market that have come in, do you think with the direction the hobby is going to go now, those big players, not big players, I'm sorry, those smaller ones, are they going to stick around, or is it just going to be your PSAs, your Beckett's, your SGCs, maybe your HGA that are survive? What do you think?
I think the four that are going to survive is PSA, SGC, BGS, and also CSG.
Yeah.
And then everything else probably
Yeah.
going to go bankrupt. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, there are some smaller companies that do make money, but you have to still have demand. And now everything's
Yeah.
opened back up. So that's what I think
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's absolutely true.
Yep. Are you out of time now?
Yeah, I can. If you want to answer some questions, I can stay on for a couple more minutes. But yeah, I'm
Okay. Yeah. I think I'm gonna stay a few minutes. But it was nice having you on. I'll let you go to
Yeah.
play basketball. So
Yeah, thank you so much, Ro. I hope to be on another future show, and hopefully I can get my channel up there and start doing some content, having you on there. But I really appreciate your time. Thank you for your subscribers to watching me, and it was a great conversation. I hope to do it again.
yeah, and thank you for your service. And we could follow you at what, Living with LT on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah, Living with LT. I'm on YouTube, Twitter, and IG, so you can find me on there.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for coming on. I'll probably
Thank
stay
you,
on
brother.
for a few more minutes. Yep.
Thanks,
Catch you
man.
later. All righty. All right. So let's see some of the comments here. Okay. I'm behind on comments. Randy Wilkie says, how about everyone consigns all their cards to Fanatics? Think that's coming? How about Fanatics vault cards? I'm telling you, Fanatics will kill the hobby. Breakers are getting contracts. I think influencers are getting contracts right now, to be honest. And I think they've already partnered up with the Backyard Bros. So it is what it is. I know the Backyard Bros bought a lot of that Zero Cool product. Steve says, I'm currently in negotiations with Fanatics about potentially promoting Women of the Hobby marketing. That's hilarious. All right. Let's look at this. Nothing wrong with old school Beckett slabs. Yeah, indeed. There's nothing wrong with that. I will buy Beckett PC all day. Ziggy, great host and guest, great conversation. I really liked your video, by the way. He actually, LT was the one that sent that video to me. I totally forgot about your video. I knew I was gonna, you did say, hey, take a look at it, but really good video. You should have put it on your bigger channel. While everyone is crapping on BGS, I'll scoop up PC BGS on the low. Yeah, that's smart. Exit exam, RCG. Oh my God, what are we watching? HEA, seriously, man. PSA is clearly king. So what LT was talking about, he was talking about his own PC. He wasn't talking about investing. From an investment perspective, he's not investing in that. And PSA obviously is still number one. So I think he'd probably say the same thing. I think he does like BGS in terms of durability of the slab. I crush PSA slabs like beer cans. Brendan says CSG is the underdog. Time will tell on them. Yep. All right. Let's go. I was hoping earlier today, didn't get any fights. What? Sancho says, anyone buying brand new modern cards will get slaughtered. Yes, indeed. I think Fanatics should stay out of the secondary market. Yeah, but the thing is, they're buying cards right now. So and they're selling, or they have cards in their possession selling on Fanatics auctions and on their website, which some of those are way overvalued. All right. Did you know Fanatics has slabs going back 10 years? Pepino Man has one promo card. I heard about that. Now, obviously, not many people speculate in them. Randy says, I call them backdoor bros since Panini backdoors their best cards to the backdoor bros. PSA sadly is king for the simple fact they market in an amazing way. They have Mike Trout touting for them for his PC. Like, don't they give Mike Trout like drive-through service basically? I mean, the thing is that PSA owns, I've said this over and over again, right? They got Card Ladder, they got Golden, they got Wada Games. PSA on the secondary market has the highest resale value. A lot of millennials like it. So obviously they're going to go into it. So, and not only that, a lot of influencers are basically in bed with them. So it helps when you don't have influencers trashing them. Just imagine if all the influencers started talking like me, right? I don't think that would be beneficial for PSA. So that's why they have all these influencers on their side. I have some Fanatic slabs only for the fact that cards come in them. With local LCS potentially getting left out, this is an opportunity for the hobby community to establish trade nights, gatherings, reasons to become active outside the establishment. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. CC2 does a real good job in trade nights. So even if he's left out of the Fanatics market, he still has trade night, right? But I think he is going to be part of the in crowd with Fanatics. They've been selling singles for a long time. James Spence was selling autos while authenticating autos. Lovely. Oh, yeah, Mike Trout gets the Nat Turner treatment. Yeah. There's certain people where he gives preferential treatment to. What I'll say about Nat Turner is he does a good job in trying to respond to DMs. Now, I didn't like how he responded to, I think it was Omar from Retro Hoots Collectibles and also the Dan. He basically said that they were, they didn't know what they're talking about with that whole situation with those MJ cards and other cards of his PC. I don't think that was a good look on them, to be honest. Steve Splenda says, I want the Pam Anderson treatment. What does that mean? She's what, now in her 50s? I think she's in her 50s. But yeah, guys, I appreciate you coming on short notice. I know that Brad was doing his last segment, but I'll probably do some more videos in the coming days and maybe a live stream or two before the year ends. And once again, I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks, guys. See you.